Hey, welcome back. If you thought the MotoGP race at Mugello was just about who crossed the finish line first, then mate, you've missed the real story. Right in the thick of it all, there was one battle that had everyone on the edge of their seats. Pedro Acosta versus Marc Marquez. Two Spanish riders, two completely different styles, and one fight that went on for nearly the entire race. In this video, we're breaking it all down properly. How the duel played out, what Acosta actually learned from watching Marquez up close, and why what he said after the race is honestly more fascinating than the result itself. Stay right to the end because we've got a cracking question for you in the outro. Right, let's set the scene first. The 2026 Italian Grand Prix at Mugello, one of the most iconic circuits on the calendar, famous for its long straight and fast corners that absolutely chew through tires. It's not a friendly track for every bike on the grid, and for the KTM that Acosta rides, Mugello is far from home turf. Now, on top of that, Marquez himself wasn't fully fit going into this one. He'd just come back from injury and openly admitted he still couldn't use his shoulder muscles at full strength. But as ever, Marquez being Marquez, he was competitive regardless. He held position inside the top four for the majority of the race. Meanwhile, Acosta is only in his third season in MotoGP and has had a rather mixed time of things this year. A few incidents have already dotted his 2026 campaign, but at Mugello, he rode with real composure and came home in sixth, finishing just ahead of Marquez, who was eventually pushed back to seventh by late charges from Ogura and Fabio Di Giannantonio. Now, this is the bit that's genuinely brilliant to talk about. For most of that race, Acosta and Marquez were absolutely glued to each other. Acosta probing for a gap, Marquez closing the door, Marquez defending hard, Acosta hunting for another angle. There were several overtaking moves that were properly heart-and-mouth stuff. What made it even more compelling was that Acosta knew exactly who he was dealing with. This isn't just any rider, this is Marc Marquez, 9-time world champion and widely regarded as one of the most aggressive and tactically brilliant racers in the entire history of MotoGP. For any young rider, sharing track space with him in a genuine fight is an extraordinary education. And Acosta used every single lap of it, not just to try and beat him, but to learn from him. After the race, Acosta spoke to the media, and honestly, what he said was the most interesting part of the whole weekend. His words were honest, grounded, and full of genuine competitive spirit. He said that being able to stay behind Marquez for a good stretch of the race gave him a real window into how a champion of that caliber manages a Grand Prix in completely different ways, depending on what the situation demands. Then he dropped the line that's already doing the rounds everywhere. The guy doesn't give up. Simple words, but there's a world of respect packed into them. That's a young competitor paying proper tribute to the legend he was scrapping wheel to wheel with. Acosta also said he was watching Marquez's tire management very closely throughout the battle. And that is no small thing. Tire management in MotoGP is one of the most critical skills separating the champions from the rest of the field. Get it wrong, lose 3 or 4 places in the space of a few corners. Get it right, and you're still fighting for the podium on the final lap. Crucially, Acosta held his hands up straight away and said tire management is still an area where both he and the KTM have considerable work to do. That kind of self-awareness at 22 years old is genuinely impressive. Looking a bit deeper into all of this, what Acosta did at Mugello wasn't simply a post-race chat. It was a live data-gathering exercise that goes straight back into the garage. KTM are in a serious phase of development right now. The 2026 season hasn't been plain sailing for them, and Mugello, with its particular demands, should on paper have been a tough afternoon for a KTM. The circuit characteristics simply don't naturally suit their machine. Yet here was Acosta finishing 6th while holding his own in a prolonged duel with the reigning champion. That is a genuinely positive signal, and the information he gathered from effectively studying Marquez in real time, particularly around tire usage, is the sort of insight that can feed directly into how KTM develop the bike going forward. Acosta clearly understands that learning from the very best, even while fighting them, is the fastest route to improving. Let's shift focus briefly to Marquez himself. His physical condition is still not where it needs to be. The screw in his shoulder had been pressing on a nerve, and while that situation has improved, his muscles still need a few more weeks to get back to full strength. But what did he show at Mugello? He gave his own performance a 10 out of 10, not because of where he finished, since 7th is hardly the ideal result for a reigning world champion, but because of how he managed a race under genuine physical limitations and still remained a threat throughout. This is precisely what makes Marquez the figure he is. He doesn't wait for perfect conditions. He doesn't look for excuses. He turns up, he races, and he fights with everything he has, even when his body isn't quite cooperating. And that is exactly what Acosta witnessed from a few meters behind. Not just riding technique, but the mindset of a champion. How a man at the very top of his sport approaches a race, handles discomfort, and simply refuses to let up. There's one more thing Acosta said that deserves a proper mention. He made the point that MotoGP needs more races like this one, more competition, more genuine wheel-to-wheel fighting, so that fans can fall back in love with watching Grand Prix the way they used to. And he's absolutely right. The Acosta and Marquez duel at Mugello was precisely what this championship needs. Two riders from different generations on different machinery, in different physical conditions, but both carrying that same fierce competitive instinct. For anyone watching at home, it was a reminder of why this sport gets under your skin. It's not purely about who wins, it's about how they go about trying to win. From a championship perspective, both riders collected valuable points on a circuit that didn't particularly favor either of them in different ways. The season is long, and battles like this one will happen again. Right, that's your full breakdown of the Pedro Acosta and Marc Marquez duel at Mugello, from how the fight unfolded to the lessons taken away to why this moment matters for the bigger picture of MotoGP in 2026. Now it's your turn, and let's make this a proper conversation. Drop your answer in the comments. In 3 years' time, who do you think is more likely to be world champion, Pedro Acosta or Marc Marquez? Type Acosta or Marquez, and give us your reasoning. Bonus question while you're down there. If you were in Acosta's position, what's the one thing you'd most want to learn directly from Marquez? His tire management? His braking technique? Or simply that mindset that never lets him give up? If you enjoyed this breakdown and it gave you a bit more to think about from the Mugello weekend, do us a favor and hit subscribe, give the video a like, and share it with a fellow MotoGP fan. Every like, comment, and share genuinely keeps this channel going and means we can keep bringing you content like this. See you in the next one. Keep the throttle on, and as Acosta himself reminded us about Marquez, never, ever give up.